Hello, and welcome to episode 3 of Overdetermine's Elden Ring lore through. Last episode, we made our way through the Cave of Knowledge and then ended up here next to fought our first boss and our first big dungeon. Big dungeon, of course, is a bit of a not that huge, not that big of a dungeon, but we get this return to entrance icon here, and as if we wanted to, now that we've beat the boss, we can fast travel as well. Thinking through it, I don't think there's anything for us at the beginning of the cave, so I'm just going to fast travel back to the Church of Ella. I also realized, in between episodes, I realized I didn't really talk about the Church of Ella at all, and what it implies. It's at least... we don't get a ton, right? But it's at least worth taking a second to look how beautiful. Look how gorgeous. Look at those shipwrecks out there. You don't often get the weather clear enough that you can see them. I'm sorry, I know I'm like fully losing my train of thought here. Just a gorgeous sunset. Wow. And the moon peeking out behind the clouds. And you can see the sun itself. I think right there you're meant to assume that the sun is. Certainly that's where all the light is coming from, and the actual light itself coming off that water there. God, that's gorgeous. One of the things people kept saying about the DLC is that every frame could be a painting. Every frame of the game that you played through could be a painting, and I think that's largely true of the base game as well. Just a beautiful sunset, and you get a really clear view of the rest of the map here as well. We can see the church that we started at, or the chapel that we started at, way over there, with the statue much more prominent than it seemed as while we were there. And then some more map way off in the distance, and then way off in the distance we get a whole nother land. I've heard people say that's the land of reeds we're looking at. And certainly there's nothing in the game that supports or contradicts that. So if you want that to be your headcanon, then go right ahead. Oh no. We also get a fun little view of a future area with a mausoleum, some more churches. God, just a wonderful game. Just the best game in the whole world. But night... Oh, there's the sun itself as well. Night slowly approaches. With the background music too, man. Okay. Sorry, I was talking about the Church of Ella before I got so distracted. We can see the church itself has been in some disrepair for quite some time. God, look at that! Look at this! Look at the purples in them. Sorry, it's been in disrepair for quite some time. No one is here to maintain it, telling us that whatever this church was once in worship of, or served to be in worship to, I suppose, whatever that religion is, no longer exists. Or if it does, the people that once were part of it are no longer around. Ella is a name that doesn't mean anything to us now, and may at some point later. I think that there's some late game stuff that sort of perhaps ties into that sort of naming convention. But this is just a church that is fully lost to time in sort of the beautiful Elden Ring way. You get the sense that once there was a thriving area here that has long since been abandoned. You can feel a story in these walls that can never be told. And all they have now are people who...
Wait, weren't you... Well, you're back. Care to buy something?
People who are set up here to buy and sell, to trade. Kale says, wait, weren't you? Like almost every time you meet him. To me, implying that whenever you die or fast travel, like a lot of time is passing faster than you think it is. I think the implication there is that he thinks that you died, and that he's surprised to see you alive, which is interesting. I don't think we've died since we last talked to him, so it's not something the game is keeping track. But I'm rambling a bit. Let's ask for his recommendation.
You know, if you can spare the runes, you should buy yourself a crafting kit. A crafting kit allows you to make basic items on your own. Essential, really, if you intend to survive out here for any duration. The kit costs a bundle, and I admit I do take my cut. But the important thing is that you survive. Every customer counts, after all.
Elden Ring runs into an issue that every single video game does, right? Which is the thing that comes to mind is Duke Leto from the new Dune game is like, Paul, you have to remember this, and this is very important. One power point lets you level up one time. Like, you know, they have to integrate the gameplay mechanics into the like narrative and the story and the way that the characters interact with one another. And it's really, really hard to do that and not come off super clumsily. And a lot of games don't really care about coming off clumsily. They have to give you the information at some point. And what else do you have to say?
There are others of my people who yet survive in these lands. If the mood takes you when you meet one, then offer them some trade, won't you? My people, wanderers all have long been spurned by the grace of gold, which is why we cannot settle, but instead are forced into this pitiful, unceasing journey. But thanks to that, things are not so different for us now, though the Elden Ring is shattered. I think this makes us kindred spirits of sorts. Your people, the Tarnished, and mine.
Okay, so a bunch to like some fundamental things about the world here that we are learning.
For now.
He can tell we're Tarnished just by looking at us. How? I'm not certain. You would think it's coming from the eyes, right? But I mean, many times characters have helmets on. I don't know. The other thing is that we know that he's long been spurned by the grace of gold. Now his people are travelers on some sort of journey. Seems like sort of perennial travelers, or someone always nomads, I suppose is a better word. Sort of building off like tropes of the Romani people, right? His outfit and sort of typical merchant fashion shows you like he's presenting you wealth, right? He's got this hat with all sorts of fancy trinkets and baubles on it. And is he going to let me see it? Some sort of like feather plumage as well. His eyes. Can we get a good look at his eyes? There we go. His eyes. You know, if he didn't just tell you that his people is spurned by the grace of gold, I think you could be forgiven for thinking that there was gold present in his eyes in much the same way that we've learned it is present in the eyes of everybody in the lands between. Also interesting the way that he refers to the grace of gold. He says he is spurned by the grace of gold, whereas before we learned that the grace of gold is something that inhabits the eyes of the residents of the lands between. So this thing is both, it has some sort of agency, right? And also it is a like physiological part of you, which if you take those two things together, then you sort of end up, like if you take both something that has agency and something that is physiologically part of you, you end up at Parasite in a really unpleasant way, I think. I'm not quite sure that's what the game is trying to go for, but I think it's a really interesting reading of it if it is. I mean, even if it isn't. The other thing I'll note here is his little string instrument being played with some sort of hand. We've learned a lot about fingers and all of that, so it seems like hands themselves are very symbolic in this world. But we're going to see a lot more merchants, as he mentioned, so we'll have plenty of time to ruminate on whatever that hand means.
Still going to purchase something?
Yes, sir. I will purchase the crafting kit.
Perhaps you don't need to hear this, but see that no harm comes to my kin. We have a saying, we wanderers. Lament not your solitude. Expect no sympathy, no regard, nothing. But if anyone dares harm us, show them no mercy. That is our code, so to speak. Just the way we are, deeply unforgiving.
So we get the idea that his people has been wounded in the past somehow. I think that's a pretty clear implication from that. Yeah, his people has some sort of traumatic past, and they have built up some defensive mechanisms, right? Like expect solitude, be at terms with solitude, but do not forgive anyone who dares harm you, and strike violently at those who do harm you. Just like reeks of a traumatic history, right? But we have some more runes here to spend. So I think I will choose to buy a torch. And a cookbook and a cookbook. Eventually we will buy all of these, but for now, we'll just buy these.
I'm glad you took my warning to heart. You've made an excellent choice.
Thank you. We'll also pick up this item that I did not do last time. Smithing Stone 1. Lots of things to read. Stone used to smith a variety of armaments. A shard found in plenty. Strengthens armaments up to +3. Smithing stone is found throughout the lands between, and mining galleries built to excavate it can be found everywhere. A record of crafting techniques left by roaming nomad warriors. Contains knowledge for surviving in the face of utter scarcity. A record of crafting techniques left by a man who, unable to become a finger maiden, instead became a missionary and went forth to spread holy teachings. So just sort of like fun and interesting that even in this first part of the game we get this idea of roles being like held by women that men desperately want, but can't by virtue of their sex. This torch's tip is wrapped in oil-soaked rags and set on fire. The flame can illuminate dark locales or be used to attack enemies. Can be raised up when equipped in the left hand, illuminating more of the surrounding area. Crafting kit, leather bag containing a pestle and mortar, small blade, and various other tools. Enables item crafting from the main menu. Provides both means to fight and means to survive. And that's it. This is a very common newbie trap, but the way you progress in Elden Ring is that you level up your weapons. You can level up your stats, but that does like very, very, very little in comparison to leveling up your weapons. But let's head on out. We've got this sort of beautiful falling leaves and an effect on us. You can see in the top left the like foul foot with the golden foul foot, meaning that enemies just drop a couple more runes because we are basking in the Erdtree's eminence here. Get backstabbed. And we've been over there, so it's time to crest this hill and collect some items. Let's kill you first. Ruined Fragment. We heard tell of those last episode when we saw the, I think glowstone it's called. And we can hear some sort of like tingling. This is a little red scarab beetle that will, if you kill it, it will refill your flask of crimson tears. But ours are full, so we'll leave him alone. Ruined Fragment. Stone fragment found near places where ruins have fallen from the sky. Can be used for crafting or simply for throwing at enemies. These shards of stone are believed to have once been part of a temple in the sky. They glow with a faint light from within. Here, I think the wording of what is it? Are believed. I think just implies that if there was a temple in the sky, it happened a very, very long time ago, and so there is just no proof of that anymore. Like we talked about last episode, perhaps that is a prehistoric temple, and that's why it is believed to have been in the sky. There is believed to have been a temple in the sky because we don't have written records to confirm or deny it. What we do have is this archaeological. I don't even know if that's archaeological. Like huge, obvious slabs of stone that was once part of something larger that is sort of found scattered throughout the land. And you can sort of imagine like over there, and there's one over there that is just sort of scattered throughout, and sort of you get the vibe that this stuff has just fallen out from the sky. But in front of us, we now see some horrible bats and a encampment of sorts. So let's kill these bats first. Hello. Please come over to me. I don't want to come over to you. We were talking in the last episode about the beastman who has like yells or screams or roars can actually hurt you. Or, I mean, his can't, but plenty of beasts in the lands between can. Bats being a part of that class. Ouchie. I tell you what. Daggers are not the best instrument with which to fight these guys. There we go. Hello. You gonna sort of come at me or what? These bats are very, like, vampiric, I think. How much can I investigate you without dying? The, like, big ears, I think, are evocative of, like, how vampire bats are depicted in a lot of popular culture. As well as the... I guess I can just kill you. As well as the, like, unnervingly human-like torso. And the, like, clawed feet, I suppose. Don't love them, that's for sure. And the game does a fun thing where it absolutely lets you know that there's a site of grace right there. But we can kill some guys first. Got him in one. Soldier of Gondrick? More like... Keep Front Ruins. Again, just another name that is what it is. We're in front of a gate. There it is. And this is a ruins. A fun fact about all the any place that is called a ruins in Elden Ring has a like down area, where you can get a secret little chest or something. Oh, he's still alive. Ouch. I gotta do it earlier than I think I need to. That's what I am learning. Oh, that guy had some ruin fragments on him. He died with some ruin fragments. Isn't that just the way? That guy's got a horn on him, and if we trigger his aggro, he will call everybody in the camp to us. Unfortunately, or fortunately, he has died. We got a smoldering butterfly and Herba. Herba. Herba? Herba. Oh, uh-oh. Gotta go. The good thing about a bow is that you can use it to draw aggro. So I don't want to fight all of those people at once. And I can just fight or fire a shot at one of them and it won't aggro any of the others. Hello, wolf. This is the down area that I was talking about just moments before. I guess I didn't really talk about their actual armor, but maybe one of them will drop it and we can get a closer look at it. Golden Rune 1. Nice. Hello. Goodbye. Hello. Goodbye. Oh. This guy by far is the hardest part of this, because he can do that. I don't want to fight you right now. I'm going down this way. Goodbye. Will he follow me? Probably not. Let's hope. And we got Asherbore, Storm Stomp, and the Whetstone Knife. Great! That is very useful, as we will see here momentarily. Where are you? There he is. Can I do a little sneak? Anybody else around here about to sneak up on me? Not really. Well, let's get this guy's item in case we die. He had some bolts. Well, I am out of health. Is it the end for all me? The end for old overdetermined. Yep, it is. Fortunately, we were able to respawn at the Stake of America there. Lord Sworn's bolt. This bolt is sworn to our lord. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. Gotta go. We could drop his sword and his gauntlets. That was nice of him. Come on, man. The parry sound is such a satisfying sound. Yes, follow me. Follow me to where there's no more enemies. He does look sick as hell. You sort of gotta give him that. Yeah, I can't trade like that. I don't have just this weapon is just too short. There we go. I can do that though. And that works just fine. Uh-oh. A 100% of the time works every time. Now we've got a bunch of item descriptions to read. Let's clear this area first and then do some reading. Oh, shoot. Oh! That's actually jump scared me. Gotta go. So we'll just grab the map. Do not do it. That works. And that works. I don't really want to fight this spear and shield guy. So we'll just make a lap. We'll light this graze. And this way, if we die, we'll just spawn right back here. But we won't die because we're just too good at the game. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. That worked. Lord Sworn's Greatsword. Lord Sworn's Greatsword. So we've got a Lord Sworn's Bolt and Lord Sworn's Greatsword. Try saying that 3 times fast. Okay, well we did actually end up clearing the level. And we got our flasks back, so we're actually the best player in the whole world. Okay, I think we've just about cleared the level. If we haven't just completely cleared the level. So let's go rest at Disgrace. Also we got a map. I didn't say that out loud, but all of these monoliths? Question mark. I have a map next to them, sort of finely decorated. I would go so far as to say this, I think, clearly is much older than the ruins themselves, even though it is in much better condition, because it is clearly, I think, of a different architectural style than just like pretty hastily built, I would say, like cobblestone, or not cobblestone, but just stone walls, I guess. But without further ado, let's read some items. I think we got quite a few. Yep. So we'll start at with the herbo. Evergreen leaves that give off a faint light. Material used for crafting items. This very common medicinal plant can be found in thickets and elsewhere. Storm Stomp. One of the skills that channel the tempests of Stormvale. Stomp hard on the ground to kick up a momentary storm. Whetstone Knife. Whetstone with a cipher inscription made to look like a small knife blade. Allows the use of Ashes of War at a site of grace to bestow new battle arts and affinities to armaments as skills. It is sort of interesting that the cipher inscription is only made clear to us what that is even like in relation to, and not until the DLC. So hold on to your horses with that, I guess, because we got some time in front of us. Bolt. Ammunition used for crossbows, a widespread common type of bolt. Lord Sworn's Bolt. Well-crafted bolt with an illustrious design wielded by regulars of a lord's army. Deals more damage than its commonplace cousin. I don't think anything to comment on here. It's a fancier bolt. Lord Sworn's Straight Sword. Well-crafted straight sword with an illustrious design wielded by regulars of a lord's army. Though blackened and damaged by years of use, it appears to have otherwise been kept in a serviceable condition, despite the soldiers having long since lost their minds. So these guys, I guess if you took a look at them, it was pretty clear are no longer in a right state of mind. I guess I can't look at his face at all, but yeah, you can sort of see there. He's like zombified. So something has happened. Well, not even necessarily something has happened. Perhaps just the passage of time and the stagnation of the world around them that has caused them to keep loyal to their lord, but otherwise are husks of what they used to once be. Again, we get this lion motif that we saw at the Chapel of Anticipation, and also on their chest pieces as well. Again, with this gold color, perhaps suggesting that the lion figure is related to the Erdtree in some way. So let's keep at it. Godric soldier gauntlets. Gauntlets worn by soldiers loyal to Godric the Grafted, rust worn and stained through unending conflict. So these soldiers who have long since lost their minds are loyal to Godric the Grafted, who we know is on the castle on the cliff in Stormvale. They're in an unending conflict. With whom? Doing what? Why? All answers that I don't think I have an answer to, or all questions that I don't think I have an answer to, and I don't really think the game has an answer to it. Obviously, this is a like well-guarded gate. As we can see here, there are a bunch of like barricades set up to forbid people from crossing the gate, as well as this encampment here. There's just a lot of like, they're guarding the castle, but why? Perhaps from Tarnished themselves. Surely we are not the first Tarnished, right? Kale recognizes us as Tarnished, so presumably there are some, if not many, who have come our path, walked our path before. A flail, weapon consisting of a bludgeoning head attached to a handle by a chain. The iron ball is spiked and induces blood loss. Blows from this weapon cannot be parried. The charge attack whirls the iron ball around for increased force before striking. Not a ton to comment on there. Smoldering butterfly, an eternally burning butterfly found near wildfires and elsewhere. Material used for crafting items. Serves as the kindling for a number of items. The idea of an eternally burning butterfly that is either attracted to fire, this is where we found it, or like born of fire. Both I think are pretty cool, pretty neat ways to go about that particular motif. Let's go sit down.
Greetings, traveller from beyond the fog. I am Melina. I offer you an accord.
So this was the same woman we saw in the first cutscene.
Have you heard of the Finger Maidens? They serve the Two Fingers, offering guidance and aid to the Tarnished. But you, I am afraid, are maidenless. I can play the role of maiden, turning runes into strength to aid you in your search for the Elden Ring. You need only take me with you to the foot of the Erdtree.
Sure. I'm not positive what happens if you refuse. I think she just, like, pesters you until you
Then it's
accept.
settled. Summon me by grace to turn runes into strength. Ah, another matter. I bequeath to you this ring. Use it to traverse great distances. It will summon a spectral steed named Torrent. Torrent has chosen you. Treat him with respect.
Okay, so quite a few things to talk about. One, this person seems like obviously like innately magical, right? But I think it is important to point out in the first cutscene that we saw her, she physically interacted with the world around her, was riding Torrent, right? When she stepped into the like pond, it caused ripples of water to extend out, right? Like she has a physical presence in this world. Here, though, she appears in a sort of blue mist or blue, I don't know, magical essence, and then sits here with us. She says we can summon her by sights of grace, suggesting she is somehow linked to grace itself. So again, we get this idea that grace is, at this point, like overdetermined, right? It resides in eyes. It has an agency. It can spur Kale and his people. And here it has some sort of anchoring effect to Melina. Also interesting that she says she can play the role of maiden, implying that she herself is not a finger maiden, perhaps does not serve the two fingers, because she has all the powers that a finger maiden has, right? So perhaps what she is rejecting is just the two fingers themselves. More on that later, I guess. I'm going to level up here in just a second. I'm also going to... We don't need more blue flasks as we are right now, so I'm going to add more red flasks. And I will add Storm Stomp to this Great Knife.
Shall I turn your runes to strength? Let my hand rest upon you. For but a moment, share them with me. Your thoughts, your ambitions, the principles you would follow.
So here we are literally telling her our goals and like raw ambition, right? For her to turn into actual physical power, which suggests she is like a sort of channeling or person who can like channel those thoughts and dreams and ambitions into, again, real power. We also got these runes from other people, so perhaps we are channeling their ambitions and thoughts and hopes and dreams. I'm going to level up Vigor once, just to say I did it. Goodbye. And she vanishes into a sort of blue mist. But now I've got some runes and... oops, nope. Kale has some items to sell us. First, though, I am going to summon Torrent. A delicate goldwork ring can be used as a finger whistle. Sound the whistle to summon and ride Torrent, the spectral steed. Dismount steed when used while on horseback. Upon his death, the spectral steed can be summoned again, but doing so drains the flask of crimson tears. I don't know if I said this the first time. Torrent, the name, being very evocative of water. So again, we get this sort of like theme of water that the game is giving us. We meet Torrent in water. We are washed up on water. And I'm skipping ahead because I have played the game before, but we also get the idea that there is some sort of life in flowing water. Like torrent implies, flowing water, whereas stagnant water has some sort of death associated with it. That's where we die and end up. And even here, in this stagnant water, we get a suppose this isn't as stagnant and not as like deathly as I thought it might be, but we get these horrible poison guys and the dragonflies. Who dropped both of their heads, so that's nice of them. Head of a large dragonfly, material used for crafting items, long believed to have the ability to neutralize poisons. Here I think we get a sense of what the game wants us to think when we read believed, because I believe you can craft this to heal poisons. So here the belief is just right? Perhaps we don't have the recipe yet, but I think that's true. Hey, caller.
Weren't you? Well, you're
Let's grab the last cookbook here. Of course, we are buying all of the cookbooks, and we'll buy the correct pots as well. And that's it.
Goodbye.
I agree. And then let's rest, because I believe Melina has something to tell us. Yep.
This tiny golden aura is the grace of the Erdtree. This light once shone in the eyes of your tarnished brethren, but now it is all that guides you. Or so I hear. You can see them, can't you? The rays of grace that guide you through your burden. Upon the cliff in Castle Stormvale is a shard-bearer, a demigod, who inherited a fragment of the shattered Elden Ring. If the rays of grace signal the castle, then the Elden Ring beckons you. As an ally by pact, I pray that you are fit to face the challenge presented by the ring.
Okay, so grace is something that physically leads us. Again, it has agency. And once it was in the eyes of Tarnished, it is no longer. So perhaps that's how Kali can identify us. He can look in our eyes and see that there is no grace there. And there is a ray of grace that is pointing to the gate front, which is then pointing to Castle Stormvale on the cliff. Melina also tells us that this is the grace of the Erdtree. So the Erdtree is something that is literally bestowing grace upon us. Grace itself, I don't think I've talked about this, is a very Christian concept. Grace itself is a thing that a lot of Christians revere as sort of a divine, something that only a divine figure can bestow, has the capability to bestow, because we humans are inherently sinful creatures. And so here I think we are meant to assume that there is some sort of divine figure bestowing grace upon us. And in this case, perhaps literally the divine figure is the Erdtree itself. Again, it looks sort of unreal, right? So, but I was expecting another NPC here, and I'm going to try and re-trigger their appearance. There she is.
May I have a word?
When we talk to her, she's going to disappear, so I'm going to take a moment to just investigate her character design. So, multiple arms, let's start there. 2 faces, we can also talk about that. Very witchy, classically witchy appearance. And we can see literal, strands holding her body together. Her body sort of falling apart. Perhaps we get the sense that her spirit is literally overflowing this body, right? And her feet are nothing more than just rope tied together. But her spirit, her sort of ghostly, almost cold spirit, it sort of gives off, I don't know, very frosty vibes. Perhaps is too powerful for this puppet. We also see that the spirit version of this woman and the actual physical body presence are tied together by her right eye, which seems to. I wish I could zoom in even further. Can I? Excuse me, ma'am. I'm just looking at your face. There seems to be a sort of seal. We didn't really even talk about it, but Melina has a seal on her left eye. Here, this figure has a seal, or like scar. I'm using the word seal, but scar I think is also appropriate. Tattoo, I guess, on their right eye, and perhaps that eye is the important thing that is linking these two together. This also introduces the idea of duality within this game, which is, I think, crucial to understanding how this world works. But I've gotten a lot of good video sort of evidence here. I'll also point out the purple mist that surrounds her when she spawns in, as well as the fact that Kale now is sleeping, and so is his mule. So this purple mist has some sort of sleep-like effect.
A pleasure to meet thee, Tarnished. I am the witch Renna. I'd heard tell of a Tarnished hurtling about atop a spectral steed, and upon looking into the matter, the talk, I surmise, is of thee. Thou art possessed of the power, no? To call forth a spectral steed named Torrent.
I think this is a real choice. People sort of joke about this, but she hasn't proven herself a trustworthy ally, and we've just made a pact with Melina. So I think it's reasonable to assume that you should say no here, but I'm going to say yes. I can call the spectral steed.
As I had hoped, I was entrusted this for thee by Torrent's former master. 'Tis a bell for calling forth spirits. Summon them with it. From ash and return to the Erdtree, the spirits will obey thine command but briefly. As they recall battles past, now it is thine, to do with as thou wishest. Forgive mine intrusion, Tarnished. I doubt we shall again meet. But all the same, learn well the lands between. How long will it be, I wonder, before the Tarnished tire of obeisance to the two fingers?
She sort of disappears with the same effect that Melina appears with, suggesting some link there between the two of them. Ronnie obviously already showing us that she's not a fan of the two fingers, and perhaps we can already guess that from Melina as well, given that she seems to actively not want to be a finger maiden. But we get this new power to summon spirits, which consumes FP. We can only summon spirits once at a time, and we're doing this from Ash unreturned to the Erdtree, which implies that Ash often is returned to the Erdtree, suggesting that the Erdtree is closely linked to death and burial within the lanes between. Right. But we got the Lone Wolf Ashes. Not a coincidence, I don't think, that she called herself Renna, gave us these ashes. Ashen remains in which spirits yet dwell, used to summon the spirits of 3 lone wolves. Spirits of wolves chased from their pack, they later encountered a nameless Tarnished who welcomed them as hunting companions. The wolf spirits overwhelm enemies with their agility, aiding the summoner in combat. I think that there is another candidate for who this Tarnished is that isn't us. Sometimes it seems the item descriptions do refer to us, but I think in this case it does not. We also got the Spirit Calling Bell. A bell capable of summoning various spirits from ashen remains. It usually requires FP to use. Spirits can only be summoned in the vicinity of a rebirth monument. When summoning is possible, the monument icon will be visible on the left side of the screen. You would think that there's actually like some good lore here, but there's not really. Just gameplay effects, which is fine, I suppose. This episode I know is running long, and I don't think we have time for a new dungeon. So let's do the normal thing and try and beat this tree sentinel. And we can see the spirit summon thing there. Oh, that's also before I do that. I'm going to switch my thing up to the way that I want it. The noises you hear are from these crucified individuals. Notably, these sounds only happen at night, which is creepy. Notably also in the shape of America's, signature pose, I suppose. Not 100% sure what to make of that, but there's a number of interpretations, I think. But me and my homies here. The spirit ashes, what they're really good for is drawing aggro. So they're going to attack him. And he'll try and attack them. Ouchie. He does do quite a bit of damage to him. Ouch. No, okay, so my wolves are gone and so am I. God, what a beautiful game, huh? I know Rain doesn't translate well over to YouTube, but even with all the fog sort of blocking our long-range vision, just a gorgeous game. Alright, old man. I've come to bargain. That move in particular really, I struggled with it when I first was learning this guy. That one also. Yeah, because if you it does not give you much opportunity to do a bad roll. One more bleed out will do it. I think we're pretty far away from a bleed out. The important thing in this situation is not to choke. Or to get greedy. Yeah, I really shouldn't choke or get greedy. Oh. Once more onto the fray, boys. Oh. Oh, that was lucky. That was unfair because the wolf got my way, I think. That's what I'm gonna say. Okay, it's a new day, and this time I got it. This time's the one. Oh, shoot. Well, today wasn't the day. Today wasn't the day after all. Round, I don't know, like 6? 7? 10? 20? Maybe like 5? Oh. Well. I could go level up just like a tiny bit and have a much better shot here. But what fun would that be? I could go get some early game items that really didn't make you a better shot at stuff like this. This guy is really a lesson in delaying your rolls, like we just saw there. Oh, rolled right into that hitbox. Getting some good shots of him though. Oh, well, that's right. I haven't tried to do a little storm stomp. I wonder if that at all breaks his poise, or if you can even say he has poise. I mean, I think all bosses do. Nope, doesn't do shit. Yeah, I saw that coming. Doing a little dance there as I died. Yeah, that was a bad roll. I guess maybe I should be, for the purposes of this playthrough, getting just a bit of a better look at this guy. Hello, friend. What you look like? Got a fun little plume on you? His cape sort of gives the effect that he's one with his horse, which is sort of neat. And the horse itself, again, the little unicorn horn. I love the little horse's ear animations. Thought he had locked off of me. Oh. And he thought I was dead. Oh, wow. It's that shield move that always gets me. I can see sort of Vare up there. Hey, Vare. Hey, Vare, how you doing? Yep. Rolled too early. That gets me every single time. I need to learn how to roll that better. Yes. Oh. That stupid shield move, I tell you what. Oh. Let's try and... Oh, should I hit this has quick step on it again? We'll see if that fares a little better. I suspect it won't, but it does not hurt to try because Storm Stomp doesn't do jack against this guy. Nice. Definitely near a stagger. Yep. Let's just heal. Nice. Again, just a bit too early. Come on, man. Just a bit too early still. Nice. That's nice. Okay. Nice. Easy. Super easy. Got it in one. Easiest thing in my life. I got a halberd. I surely can't use it. Attributes required 30 strength. I have 9 strength. Sure does look cool though. Huh? That's alright. Let's take a look at the item description. Weighty halberd forged of gold, wielded by the Order of Tree Sentinels, heavily equipped knights. Deals holy damage. A masterfully crafted weapon that lives up to its heft, but is difficult for one of mere human strength to wield. I think clearly implying that whatever we fought isn't human. But I have a lot more thoughts on that, and here they are. I'd like to begin with a quick aside. On the Tree Sentinel's halberd is the first of many spirals that I'd like to log. Spirals are one of those overdetermined symbols that Elden Ring loves to use, and this motif will appear again. At this point, there's not much to say about it. It could be symbolic of strands of DNA, or related somehow to the caduceus, or anything else. Balance, duality, life, love. But that's all I have to say about this for now. Again, just noting it. Okay, now let's start with the basics of this boss. The Tree Sentinel is covered in gold armor from head to toe. None of its body is visible. It wields a golden halberd that is forged of gold, which seems to be a metaphor meant to invoke the gold of the Erdtree. Perhaps the armor and halberd are gold-plated, but gold as a metal is malleable and would not be an effective armor or an effective weapon. That said, the golden halberd does do holy damage, so it is imbued with some of the Erdtree's grace. That's probably what the item description means. The Tree Sentinel is wielding faith as a weapon. Remember, this is a world where runes are principles and principles are runes.
Your thoughts, your ambitions, the principles you would follow.
The principles, the truths that we adhere to, become literally manifested in the world around us. We already know that the Golden Order is significant to this world and that we can go against it somehow. Here, going against it seems to mean forming opposing principles and ideas. The halberd, and by extension the Tree Sentinel, are forged of the principles of the Golden Order. But I'm on a bit of a tangent. Even as the Lands Between is built on ideas, those ideas themselves are usually rooted in the real world, such as the Tree Sentinel, who is heavily inspired by a lot of Roman imagery.
For example, sentinel is probably from the Latin sentire, meaning to feel or to see, in the sense that a sentinel is one who sees or one who watches. Also, it's not a one-to-one parallel, but the shield bears some similarity to Roman shields that would commemorate some victory or portray some event. A literary example of this is the shield of Aeneas from Virgil's Aeneid, a shield that depicts key moments in Roman history all the way from Romulus and Remus to Augustus Caesar. And the Tree Sentinel helm very cleverly echoes a Roman gladiatorial crest, where in real life the soldiers use feathers or horsehair. The Tree Sentinel is instead using the leaves of a tree.
I'm going to take one moment here to talk about the front of the helm. The tree imagery is right there and pretty obvious, but the top branches of the tree slant up to create an imposing and inhuman countenance. From a distance, it almost looks like the Tree Sentinel has multiple sets of eyes, which gives it again a very bizarre aura. Even up close, it's not obvious which slots are the eye slots. Again, to me, this gives it a very imposing presence. It's one of those designs in Elden Ring that my eye, at least, struggles to comprehend, and the end result is sort of beautifully unnerving. Let's take a closer look at the shield. My best guess is that this depicts a robed man vowing something to a sitting robed woman. The man has a sword in his left hand angled towards the ground, and his right hand is raised high with his palm facing down. The man is wearing a crown, suggesting he is royalty or a king of some kind. The woman may be wearing a kind of crown as well, though it's less clear. In the background is a tree with a large trunk that appears to have been burnt or cut off halfway up. We know there is an order of tree sentinels, a name which reads to me as a quasi-religious or even cult-like order. So I think it's not a stretch to say that the event that this shield is depicting is foundational to the order of tree sentinels. This means that the image here isn't of two random individuals having a chat. There are some greater stakes to this conversation. A promise is being made, or a vow. Maybe the half-burnt trunk is key here. Perhaps the man is swearing to the woman who is looking forlornly at the burnt tree that he will never let that happen again. Or maybe the hand pointed down is meant to be one of comfort. Do not worry, I will protect you. In any event, I think we are probably looking at the founding moment of the Order of Tree Sentinels, an order which guards against threats to the Erdtree. Some attack on the Erdtree, which resulted in a tree being burnt or cut down, would be the perfect catalyst to form such an order. So who is the man? Well, with my reading, I'm inclined to believe that this is the first Tree Sentinel. I mean, with no other context, if the Order of the Tree Sentinels put a man on their shield, we'd expect it to be a founding figure of their order. His crown suggests royalty, so perhaps this is a demigod casting aside his noble status to serve a cause greater than himself. Think the King's Guard in A Song of Ice and Fire. Let's now move to the vines or roots wrapping around the shield. This is the second time we've encountered this motif. The first is the statue next to the Chapel of Anticipation. In both examples, the vines don't look like they're strangling the quote-unquote victim necessarily, just that the victim is becoming more tree-like. To me, it doesn't look violent as much as it reflects the eternal passivity of nature growing. Not unlike that one scene from Annihilation. The vines also clearly came after the shield was made and don't look like an intended part of the design. So the vines were a later addition, and the tree sentinel appears to have given his shield over to the vines. They look trivially easy to rip off for a man with the strength to wield that halberd, but the tree sentinel chooses not to. Let's move to the horse. The unicorn horn and the weird little eye protectors are both rooted in real-life horse armor, and are just a bit more fantastical than what we saw in the medieval world. Again, the real-world inspiration is pretty clear. The horse and the tree sentinel seem almost wielded together. I've seen people suggest that the tree sentinel is chained to its horse, but I am not sure if I buy that. The alleged chain reads more like a belt to me. Regardless, we never see the tree sentinel get off the horse, and unlike other enemies in the game, we are fully unable to knock the tree sentinel off his horse. From both a mechanical and design perspective, they are one entity. I try not to jump ahead of what we already know by this point in the game, but allow me one little jaunt into the rest of the game's lore. Artificial life exists in the lands between, and one of its defining traits is that it eventually loses its ability to use its legs. Those who are close to death or have lost some aspect of their humanity also lose their ability to use their legs. The fact that we never see the tree sentinel use their legs could mean that the tree sentinel was once human and is now something more than human or less than human, or both. What is the tree sentinel becoming if not human, I hear you ask? I think it's in the name. A tree. I know this is a stretch, but before you dismiss that out of hand, allow me to present some more evidence. The Golden Halberd's item description reads that the halberd is difficult for one of mere human strength to wield. I think this plainly suggests that the tree sentinel isn't human, or at least not fully human. Also consider the name. Elden Ring is very literal with its boss titles. The Beastman is a half-beast, half-man. We will later fight literal trees called Erdtree avatars. He's not called the Erdtree Sentinel, which you might expect if he is to be a sentinel guarding the Erdtree. He's just called the Tree Sentinel. Or perhaps FromSoft is engaging in a bit of on-brand wordplay. He is both a sentinel guarding a tree and a sentinel who is a tree. The Tree Sentinel. This would suggest that the foundational event that is depicted on the shield is one of sacrifice. After the tragedy struck the tree in the background, this royal figure and presumably demigod sacrificed himself through some ritual to become more tree-like. Through this ritual, he gained strength and lost his humanity. I mean, this does sound familiar. A figure sacrifices themselves to save everyone around them, and then has a religion spring up, essentially built around that one act of sacrifice. The game already has enough parallels to Christianity, what's one more? I know this is all a stretch, so let me summarize my argument. There are a lot of little details here that contribute to my thesis. 1. The tree sentinel doesn't or can't use its legs. Perhaps it is chained to the horse because it is unable to use its legs. As we will discover later in the game, artificial or non-human life often lose their ability to use their legs. Still, the concept art does show the tree sentinel standing up, so I'm not fully convinced by this point. 2. The name Tree Sentinel. It's possible the name is meant to be taken literally. This is literally a tree who is a sentinel. 3. The item description, difficult for one of mere human strength to wield, I think plainly suggests that the tree sentinel isn't human, or at least not fully human. 4. The shield is in the process of being consumed by vines or roots that weren't present in the shield's original design. I think this is symbolic of the tree sentinel literally becoming overtaken by some sort of tree-like growth. And lastly, Elden Ring is full of people changing themselves to be more than human, so this would be in line with other themes that this game is presenting. FromSoft have also made enemies called Sentinels that are nothing more than inhuman and near-mindless entities created for the sole purpose of guarding something before. Twice. So I think the tree sentinel is now more tree than man, just as the vines on his shield threaten to overtake the man in the shield's center. We're fighting a member of a highly militarized and highly fanatic order that sacrificed everything to better serve his order. So then, what's it doing in Limgrave? Well, just as Vare is set up to catch unsuspecting Tarnished, I think the Tree Sentinel is also set up to deal with new Tarnished, just more directly than Vare. It has probably lost most of its higher order reasoning capabilities, but it remembers how to fight, and it remembers who to fight. The Tarnished are threats to the Golden Order, and the Tree Sentinel is here to see that those Tarnished get no further than the first step.